All right, Barton, level 5, lesson number 8. Okay, so we're getting kind of towards the end of level 5, which is nice. We are actually introducing prefixes today. Um, so prefixes work a little bit different than suffixes. One, there are no spelling rules with them, so that's really nice for the kids. But two, they change the word a lot. So suffixes might change the word a little bit. It might tell you when something is happening, like ing tells you it's happening right now or in the past, or how something is happening, like, you know, suffix ly always tells us how. Prefixes often change the word to mean sometimes the exact opposite, but often they change the meaning a lot. So we can take a word like exact, and if we add into it, it means not. Okay, so exact means precise, inexact means not precise. So we're going to learn 4 prefixes today. The first 2 are going to be in and dis. So frequent to infrequent, decision to indecision, meaning not a decision, consistent to inconsistent, and then we can also add a suffix onto this. So we've got inconsistently. Obviously the suffix ly changes it a little bit. It tells us how something has happened. Okay, but the difference between consistent and consistently to inconsistently is vastly different. So adding that prefix changes the word a lot. Agree, and now we're going to add our new prefix that also means not. So in means not, dis means not. Like disagree, we can add a suffix to it, disagreement. We can add multiple suffixes to them. Like the word disrespectful and ly. But you can see if we take off dis from any of these, respectable to disrespectable means the opposite. Connect to disconnect, add your suffix to ing. You can make it happen also in the past. So changing ing to in the past with ed, that would change when this happened, not what happened. Satisfy, this is a time that we review. You got to change your y to an I before you add your suffix. Satisfied, I would change this to dissatisfied. I would point out to the student that there are 2 S's here, one from the prefix and one from the base word. We do not change how we spell the prefixes nor the base words. So if dis has an S and satisfy has an S, there will be 2 S's there. Let's move on to the next 2. We're going to do a review, not in and dis, and now we're going to add non to this. Non also meaning not, so something that is not fat, we would say is non-fat. Something that does not stop, non-stop. We can change tax to taxable and then make it mean the opposite with non-taxable. And then the last one that we learned is meaning, again, not, untrue. Unsnap, if we were going to change this to mean in the past, we would remind students that this ends with consonant, vowel, consonant. If you wanted this to happen in the past, you would need to double the P and then add your suffix ed on here. Unsnap to unsnap. Justify, you want this to happen in the past. You're going to need to change your y to an I and then add your suffix ed. And to make it mean the opposite, unjustified. The actions were unjustified. The last word that we show is the word untried, and we have them deconstruct this word. So what is your base word? We get rid of the suffix, we get rid of the prefix. The prefix, and then we got to change our I back to the letter Y. So your base word is try. We can do the same thing with the last word, which is unenviable. Get rid of this, get rid of this, change this back. Your base word is going to be envy. So your students should be able to do both. Build the longer word, know what the base word is in the longer word, and then deconstruct it as well. Okay? All right, so where are we going to house these? We're going to house these in or around page about 81 with prefixes. Prefix, in, dis, non, and un, they all mean not. And you can come up with the words on your own for those. You can make your own word bank. Okay, let's switch gears and take a look at the extra practice work. Sorry, I already have it done. So, let's take a look at only one word inside is spelled correctly. Underline that word, then read the sentence. So we'll underline today. Let's grab a pen. Their uncontrollable grandson threw 2 fried eggs from the nonstick pan into the sink. Uncontrollable needs 1 N, not 2. The fly landed on Frank's glass, so he disinfected it. Only 1 S again and disinfected. Mrs. Wilson said that was uncalled for when her child yelled, disrespect. Now, full is a suffix and ly is a suffix. So this one is correct. It wasn't a very good underline, but that is something that students often mix up, is full and ly. Full is one suffix, ly is another. Her inhospitable, 1 N again, brother had a disagreement about what to play when his friend was visiting. They could not wait to get away from the insanity, 1 N. She felt disconnected from the unfriendly residents due to their non-stop agreements. Again, stop would have 1 S. Okay, the next one, write dis in, non, or un. So we have disinfected, disconnected, invalid, inconsistent, discontinue, independent, inhuman, and disagreeable. Unsatisfied, non-satisfied, you hear that too. Uneven, non-entity, non-payment, non-event, unfinished, unlimited, non-metal. Those are the ones that I would do. And then box off each prefix and suffix, figure out the meaning of the entire word, okay? So disinfected, I love and hate that we start with that word, because in, we've just taught them as a prefix. But in this situation, we are not going to be diving deeper down and talking about the Latin root of this word, which is fect, actually. We are going to use this as a base word, and we're going to say the base word for this is infect. The base word is infect, then we have the prefix dis and the suffix ed. So what does it mean? Not infected in the past, okay? Again, these are going to be pretty loose definitions here. So not infected in the past, I mean, you wouldn't really say it like that, but that's true. Nonfiction. Now, as a remember, tion sometimes acts like a suffix, but not in this case. Your base word would have to be the whole word fiction. Fict itself, again, fict is a Latin root, but we're not talking about Latin roots here, so your base word is fiction. Okay, undoing, base word do, not doing right now. Unfriendly. How is somebody acting? They are not acting friendly right now. Non-taxable, not able to tax. Unconditional, again, here's the shun, but your base word is condition, so we're going to use the whole thing. I have to sneeze. Okay, disillusionment, inelegantly, unaided, non-metal, discrediting, unapproachable, disenchanting, uneventful. Some people might say N is a prefix here. We haven't taught them that, so I'm not gonna have chant be the prefix here. But if your student really, wants to make a case for it, I mean, they can, right? And that's that for that. The next one, fluency drills for 5.8. So, this is an important one because the words have suddenly gotten much longer. Not much more complicated, but much longer and much more interesting, to be very honest, too. So I really would like your student to be able to read these accurately. If they start to struggle, I want them to do what they know how to do, which is go through and start to find all the prefixes and then all of the suffixes and then look at the base word and read it that way. Okay? So that's what I would do if I had a student that was going to be struggling with these. Looks like the first page doesn't have, there's a couple suffixes on here. Not too many, but it's kind of building up, it looks like, for your student for the next page, which will have more. So again, I would have them go through, find your prefixes, find your suffixes, look at the base word, read, accurately read. If it's still, if the word like unlimited is still tricky down here, they need to divide. Okay, so they're looking at the base word L-I-M-I-T. They would probably push it to the back first, right here. That would be limit, not a real word. Got to go the other way. Move it the other way. Limit, unlimited. Okay. And again, these are going to have more of the suffixes on here. So this is a routine, obviously, where we build. And so if these seem really daunting, or that's a tricky one with the Y there. I would keep this as decency. But again, you can go through and just kind of dissect these words here. And if you ever come to a word where you're like, I don't know, or my student says this, but I think this, I mean, you could both be right. Dividing words is not an exact science. There are times where syllabication doesn't work, but times where it will work are infinitely stronger. So I always want your student to rely on the syllabication and the dividing syllables of the words. Will it work every single time? No. We have a language that is influenced by French and Latin and German and Nordic languages and all the Greek and Latin and everything else. So there's so many influences. The French, you know, any French word always has an accent in a different place than American words. So it's not exact, but it does help, and it is a good way to decode a word and take control of a word. So that's what I would do. Discredited, base word credit. What does it mean? Not credited in the past. No credit in the past. Okay. So I would go through, I might use some of these in a sentence. Again, start to work on vocabulary, talk about the meaning, how the words they look more complicated because they're longer, but they're really not. They're just longer and have richer, deeper meanings. So, all right, decode, don't guess. That's it for 5.8.